Welcome to the Everyday Creative Podcast. We are two creatives that will discuss our own creative journeys, mental health, and a little bit of everything in between. Oh yeah, we're married too. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome back to the
Everyday Creative Podcast.
Are we saying it at the same time?
I don't know. We should. This is episode 12.
Episode 12, we think.
I think. We've kind of lost track.
Yes. But we're here.
Yep, this is the second episode where we're doing audio only.
Yes.
But we're back on the real mics this time, so hopefully it sounds better than last week.
I'm not going to lie, I have not listened to them.
I listened to it once.
A lot. Oh, when you
once
have to go.
Fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have to edit it. Yeah, so we're back.
Back in the studio.
That yeah, anyways. I'm sorry. This is a rough start for me, but that's okay. Why don't you take it away?
You're just a little rusty, but it's okay. So here we go. How are you doing? Just starting off things easy.
You know, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing good.
Yeah.
For the sake of this podcast, I'm doing great.
For the sake of the listeners in the world, you're doing good.
Yes. I think I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I am doing good. You know, a little stress, healthy amount of stress. Just
Is it?
We have another trip coming up.
Yes.
And just with, you know, the work-life balance, I'm just trying to balance everything. And with my job, I can go a couple days with light work, and then it's 1, 2, 3 days of heavy work. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm gearing up for a couple days of heavier work before we go on this trip. And yeah, but I'm feeling good, and I'm excited to go on this trip to Texas. Yeehaw. And yeah, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's been quite a couple months.
It has.
With all of our trips. We did them all in the span of a couple weeks versus spreading them out. It's just how it played out this year, but I'm excited for this trip too, but I'm ready to not be going on a trip every 2 weeks.
Yes, but see, here's the problem. We're going to get back from this trip, and we don't have anything planned for the rest of the summer or even into the fall. We're going to want to go on a trip.
I know.
Literally 3 weeks after we get back from Texas, we'll be like, we should go on a trip.
I don't know if 3 weeks after we get back, maybe you, but I'm fine with just being at home.
I'm fine with just having a normal routine for a month or two.
But I know that later in the summer, when everybody's going to the beach, going on their vacations, that we're going to be like, we should go on a trip. But maybe something will pop up. We don't know.
Yeah.
Or we'll just do day trips. That's what I want to do this summer. Mm-hmm. Like, we used to do that a lot when we were dating.
Yeah.
And we kind of got away from it. But I think we should start going on day trips again.
I agree. And even New York City's a day trip away.
Yeah, we should go to New York for a day.
DC's a day trip.
Yeah, we've been there a few times.
Yeah.
But
so
speaking of DC, remember how we went to DC like 2.5 months ago? And I finally posted the photos I took on Instagram.
Do you know who has yet to post photos?
You.
Me.
I just decided honestly, I was supposed to make a post today too, but I just decided I was just going to
let it breathe.
Do a ton of posts consecutively, because for some reason I just can't ever remember to do it. Not that it's really a necessary thing. It's not really that important whether I would post those photos or not. Yeah. But, you know, I'm trying to like...
You know that Instagram implemented the scheduling feature. So if you feel really...
I couldn't find that.
Oh, really?
Or maybe I just couldn't figure it out.
So if you're feeling really motivated, you could schedule out a whole week's worth of content.
You should show me how to do that.
Yeah, I will. Maybe...
Can I...
I think you can do it.
Really?
We'll see.
We'll
talk after the pod.
We'll have to look into that, because that would be helpful for me. But yeah. So on that note, what kind of creative were you this week? You
know, normal, busy, feeling pretty productive. I did take some really cool graduation pictures of a dude.
Yeah, that was cool.
I felt really motivated by that. I shot through like 2 rolls of film on that. So if you follow me on the Instagram, you'll be seeing them probably in the next year or two.
The accuracy.
How about you?
We still haven't figured out who that, when we did that Q&A,
Yeah.
the person who like anonymously asked for you to take senior photos.
Yeah, it was neither of the people we actually took.
We still don't know who that was. If you happen to be listening, like,
hit me up.
Yeah, like, let us know, because we're not trying to ignore you. Bryce would love to do that, but we just don't know who you are.
Too late though. They graduated probably.
Yeah, but it's not too late for official photos.
True.
Well, actually, then you have to go get them developed, and then it's just
Oh well.
It's a process.
What kind of creative have you been?
I think productive creative.
I would agree with that.
I edited photos last week. Like I said, there's like photos we took from all of our trips that I finally looked at and edited, and working on some other
endeavors.
Wink. I'm gonna have to. I make a lot of facial expressions. People are gonna miss my facial expressions.
You mean whenever you like roll your eyes at me, or just
being extra
flabbergasted by something that I said?
Yeah,
that was
just
really
being
dumb.
Just being a little extra.
Yeah.
But yeah, so been working on some stuff. More info to come soon.
Yes.
But yeah, so productive, creative. I'm enjoying this season, I think.
I am too. Hopefully once we get back from Texas, we'll be able to kind of coast a while.
Yeah, I'm
excited to coast.
I feel like I've been like pretty consistently making sure we have everything we need for trips, and then we get back, and then it's like 2 days later, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta prep for this other trip. And
well, not to turn this into a health and fitness podcast, but let's go there for a second. Before we went on all these trips, I felt like we were like really consistent in our like weekly meals that we were eating. And then ever since after the first trip we took, we were still pretty good. But then within the past like couple weeks, it's just felt like, at least for me personally, maybe it hasn't been. Maybe it's just because there's been like Mother's Day dinners and all of that. I feel like my diet's been kind of off, and I'm just feeling like a little out of sorts. And then I know we go to Texas and we're gonna absolutely destroy some Texan food. But I'm excited to kind of get into a good, solid routine of eating, exercise, and just resting.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like in the last couple of weeks, it's been harder for me to be motivated to stay like consistent with the workouts that I do, and that's gonna change anyways in a month because I'm doing like a challenge thing. But like, it's just hard when you're away. You're not like, we've worked out when we were away, but it's not the same. No. It's not consistent. And then when you come back, you're like, oh, but I did like just like 20 minutes at the beach, and that was kind of nice. I don't want to work out for any longer than that. So I'm kind of just like, just kind of coasting until we get through, this month, and then we can hit it hard again.
Hit it hard. Cool. So moving into our random question generator.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to pull up the list of questions, and I will pull up a random number. Hey Siri, give me a number between 1 and 50. It's 33.
33.
What's this question? Is this a good one?
It's just like we're going to spill the tea.
Ooh, I like spilling the tea.
What's the worst date you've ever been on?
Oh, man. Out of all the questions.
Do you know?
No, I don't. I think I do know. Is it the...
but do you know what your worst date is?
There's a couple that are going through my mind.
Okay, don't tell me what you think mine is, and I'll tell a story, and then if it's something else, you have to tell me.
Okay.
I actually don't know if you can really consider this a date. So I'll just say this. There have been some guys that I've been in the past that I have gone to get food with, but I don't we didn't, or who I dated, but we never really went on a date.
Yeah.
So I don't really have so even though they weren't great people, I don't have a bad date story with them, although you would think I would, but that's because they were crappy, so they didn't take me on dates. Anyways, so this is the only story. This is the only story I can think of, because it was just interesting. So I gotta figure out a way to like tell this without exposing people.
Well, if you expose people's names or whatever, I can bleep them out in the edit.
I'm not gonna expose people's names. I just don't want it to be like, if they are listening, I don't want them to feel embarrassed because it's in the past, so we move on.
Only they will know.
So I'm trying to think how to start this. So somebody that I knew from high school.
Somebody that I used to know.
So I knew him from high school. We were not.
So it wasn't him.
It wasn't him. we did not like date in high school. We didn't. There was nothing.
There's no relations.
Yes.
Romantic.
But we were friends. Yeah.
There's a friendship, but not a...
Yeah, and he was older than me. Do you know what story?
Oh, 100%. I know what story this is.
Is this what you thought it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was older than me, and which meant he graduated from high school before, and I still had a few more years in high school. So every couple years, like, we'd reconnect, get ice cream or coffee or lunch or something, and catch up. And
ketchup? And ketchup on your ice cream?
And catch up. And so this one particular time was, I had been I was in college, and I don't know, that's not an important detail. Yeah. Anyways, so he was back in town for, I think it was like around Christmas time or something. So we were catching up via text, and we decided to like go get breakfast or whatever to catch up. And to my knowledge, we were going as friends. And there was a little bit of a I wasn't sure what he thought whenever he asked me like if he could pick me up. And I was like, no. I was like, I'll drive, because I wanted to make it clear this is not a date. We are just two friends catching up.
Yeah. So
anyways, got breakfast, talked about a lot of things, talked about Bryce, actually. So yes, this was
lovely.
I was crushing on Bryce at this point. So in my mind, this was like, I was interested in you, so I was not thinking about this being a date. And anyways, the whole breakfast, we eat breakfast, we talk.
Do you remember what you had?
No.
Not important.
The whole, never mind, that's mean. Anyways, the end of our time together, we were getting up and leaving. He was like, did you ever like me when we were in high school? And I was like,
that's the worst.
I was like, I like don't even think I responded before he like kept on talking, because I was like, I don't know what to say, because I thought he might have liked me, but I did not like him.
Yeah.
He was like a big brother. And then he was like something along the lines of he thought that we could have had something. Like he was always under the impression that we could have had something, and like if I wanted something now, he would be open to it, type of thing. And I was like, well, I'm gonna head out. And so anyways, it was just a really like awkward ending. It was like the weird like side hug thing. And but he ended up texting me later and apologized for being so forward with that and the way that he did it, which I appreciated, because not all guys can own up to their putting girls in awkward situations. So I didn't really know how to handle that situation. Anyways, that's kind of like the quote unquote worst date I've been on, because it wasn't a date, but he thought it was and I didn't think it was. And then he like was really forward about his possible feelings for me. I feel like honestly he didn't really have feelings for me. He just wanted to date someone. So but yeah, so that was a really awkward experience.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if there are any other for me. I honestly didn't really. There was like one date I had been on prior to you. And I had dated people.
Yeah.
But we didn't go on a date. But there was like one other person that I did, like it was just like one date that we went on, but it wasn't until you that I really started dating. So I can't.
Yeah. You didn't.
Let me think about the worst date Bryce and I have ever been on. No, I'm just kidding. You go, and I'll see if I can come up with something.
So.
Oh, I could probably name a few that Bryce and I have been on. No,
wow.
When you were like, I don't want to be with anybody for 3 years.
Hey, I was jaded. Second of all, that's not what I meant.
I even asked you, like, what if you found somebody, and you were like, they'd have to be the right person.
I don't know.
As I'm sitting across from you.
No, that was not the right thing to say. That's
only one of many.
Which leads into my bad dates.
I don't know where this is going.
I know. So, just like your friend who asked you to breakfast and lunches.
So I do know where this is going.
Well, not exactly.
Oh.
So I have been on many a breakfasts with friends who I thought were friends. But I'm you in this situation.
Right.
The girls are other dude.
The girls are initiating.
Yes.
In their minds, it's a date. In your mind, it's just two friends catching up.
They're like, hey, you want to get breakfast or lunch or dinner?
You're like, I'm hungry,
and I'm like, yeah, we haven't seen each other since high school. Or, oh, we had a class together or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, let's get together. It'd be fun. I'd love to.
Is that how you felt whenever, like, we would go to the movies or something?
Oh, yeah.
You just thought we were friends hanging out?
Oh, no. I thought you meant the same enthusiasm of it. Like, yeah! No, I had other intentions.
Oh, okay.
I actually had real intentions.
All right. Keep on.
So we would go. There's a couple. This happened multiple times, and I feel bad. But it is what it is.
He owns up to it now.
Well, yes. So one time I went with a girl to Cracker Barrel.
I don't think I've heard this.
No,
story.
I don't think you have. Went with her to Cracker Barrel. She's definitely not listening to this. I don't know what she's doing. I hope you're well. If you are listening. Anyway, we went to Cracker.
I hope everyone that we talk about.
Yes, I hope everybody's well. We went to Cracker Barrel. Like, nice catching up. We went to high school together. And we were just catching up, like, what you doing, how's life, and all that. And then, I don't think I have told you this. This is fun. And so, we leave. And, like, we drove separately.
Okay.
And, do the hug because that's normal.
Front hug, side hug.
Front hug. I never did the side. The side hug's
the side hug's like, I'm friend zoning you.
I know.
Like, side hug is smart.
Well, see, what the people that are listening to this, I had a lot of female friends in high school, so I was very used to the front hug because I don't know. That's just
You did not learn the rules of
no.
guy-girl
No,
friendships.
I never learned those rules and things. So, front
So
hug.
you learned the hard way.
Oh, yes. Still, like, up until recently, still learning. Well, within the past 2 years. Recently.
I was going to say, what?
Within the past 2 years, still learning. But, or 3 years. I don't know.
Anyways.
Time's a construct. Anyway, so she's like, so when's our next date?
Oh.
Or, no, so she was like, so, like, are we boyfriend, girlfriend? Like, when's our next date?
No.
Yeah. This has actually happened 2 times. I've had this same interaction, not with the same girl. 2 different girls, same interaction. A breakfast or a lunch. We have, like, there's no flirting. At least from my end. There's no flirting from my end.
Do you even know how to flirt.
No. So that's why I don't think. But anyway, there was no intention.
In like a cutesy way.
I don't know. There was no intention. It was literally catching up. How are you doing? Where are you doing in college? What are you doing like work wise? And I would be like, oh yeah.
I really want to know who this is.
I'll tell you later. And so they were super standard, non-sensual conversations. Like, you know, you sit across from them.
Wasn't like you guys were like leaning in close.
No, and we didn't even I didn't even pay for both of us. It was like separate checks.
Ooh, that's like
same deal.
We should get into that, but
I know. Like if there was any hint of
her being interested
or me being interested, I would have totally picked up the check for both. But like there was nothing on my end that was like, oh, I'm interested in that sort of thing. So it was separate checks. So we, you know, both times walk out and it's like, so like, are we boyfriend, girlfriend?
Both times?
Like, it's two separate girls.
This has happened? This has happened. Both at Cracker Barrel?
Not Cracker Barrel. Oh, no, no. That would be really funny,
Okay, so this has happened twice. You walk out with platonic,
no
meal sharing.
Yes, meal sharing.
Walk out and they say
nothing hinky, like hinky. No funny business, just friends that I thought. You walk out, you give them the hug, and they're like, so we like boyfriend, girlfriend now, or like when's our next date? And I'm like, I'm not interested. And then like it just kind of then their face goes from like, I know the people in the podcast can't hear.
Happy to
like, oh, I read that wrong. And then we never talk again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so you were single both of these times?
Yes.
Okay, well, you know, maybe you were dating, but you were going to catch up with old friends, and then they thought something completely different.
I've totally like grabbed lunch with like different people of the opposite sex and things at like dining halls at like campus and stuff, and like they knew because obviously we had a deeper relationship, like me and that like those friends, because they knew like I was dating somebody or in a relationship or single, so they knew how to gauge like.
Yeah. Interesting. So this brings up the topic of, this is not at all our main topic for the day, but I think it's important to talk about what are dating rules.
Exactly, because then there's the third story that you know about how I feel like a horrible human being because I went to church with someone.
And she introduced
me to her parents and all that.
You read that wrong.
I thought we were just going to church as friends.
Right. So here's my thing. And you all can disagree out there with me, but I would love to know. I guess if you're listening on YouTube, you can still comment, but like DM us, let us know your thoughts, and we're just going to keep this dialogue going throughout all of our episodes.
Oh, yeah.
But I am not against the girl, and because we're speaking from our own experience, we're talking girl-guy relationships.
Yes.
Because that's the only experience we have.
Yes.
So I don't have a problem with the girl asking the guy out, but I think that there needs to be a more obvious way if a girl's asking a guy out, because we have normalized getting coffee, getting lunch, you want to grab whatever, like with friends that are of the opposite sex, that then it becomes confusing, because if somebody were to say to me, hey, you want to grab coffee and like catch up, I'd be like, oh, as friends.
Yeah.
Now, if they were like, you want to get ice cream, to me, ice cream's a date. But we got to clarify some things here.
Yeah, if I were to be like, hey, you want to just grab some lunch, that's friends. Or can I take you out for lunch? That's a date.
Ooh. So the language.
Or do you want to go out for blank? That's a date. But hey, you want to grab blank? That's more of a friendship sort of thing.
So here's what I'll say. For all the, this is just coming off the top of my head. So for all the single ladies out there, this was my experience and how I've always been throughout time. I will initiate, or would, but I'm just going to say will, initiate, like, hanging out with that person.
Yeah.
Spending time with that person. So, you know, I'd text you and be like, you want to get dinner? You know what I mean? That wasn't, I don't really consider that me asking you out on a date.
No.
But it was us hanging out as friends while also trying to read each other and figure out what the intentions were.
We had been friends too, so I didn't like.
Yes.
If I asked you or you asked me, I didn't feel like there was no real misconceptions because we had been friends previous.
But ultimately, personally, I feel that you have to figure out that person before you start slapping date labels on it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I don't have any problem with like dating culture of like going out on dates with people.
Yeah. Especially
I feel like, you know, certain age ranges that becomes more normal and stuff like that. But I also feel like sometimes and honestly, I'm just going to put this out there. My experience of dating in the world really only comes from like church dating. So I don't know what it's like when you're like living in New York City and you're just like going like that. I don't know that world. And you're like 30 and you're like dating people.
You're just dating around.
It's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about like
small town church vibe.
Small town church dating, because that is probably our audience. So, and like, I think sometimes we get too forward with the whole like, oh, I think this person's pretty, or I'm kind of, well, some people don't even think attraction's important, but that's a whole other.
Oh, we should get into that
sometime. But anyways, it's like, let me ask this person out. And then it's like, it's too forward for me, at least. Yeah. First, I want to know if we're like friends. Like, are we compatible in a friendship way? And so if you ask me to like go get coffee, just casually, there's two things. Yeah, sure. I'll go and we can figure out if we're friends. Or if I know that maybe, because I feel like you can kind of read people to know whether it's like we are friends or we're trying to figure out if we're going to like date. But then like, if I really am not interested in being your friend or dating you, I will come up with an excuse, and it doesn't have to be I like you, can we go on a date? And then me go, no, because I don't like you. It's more like oh yeah, actually I can't. And then we move on. Yeah. It doesn't have to be so serious all the time. You know?
I think once you're past a certain age, then it can be hey, you can just, anybody randomly and be like, hey, do you want to go get a drink or something? Like, I think post high school, and if you're in college with them, but you don't like see them all the time, it can be hey, would you like to go to dinner with me? Yeah. Just as if you were meeting a stranger. But if you have a previous relationship with them or know of them, then you need to feel it out a little bit more.
I think it's all personality too. Like, if you like a girl, you probably like her because of her personality. Or if you like a guy, you probably like him because of his personality. So read it out. There are some people who love that formality. They love being bold. I don't want to have to turn you down. Like, just makes me feel awkward, and I'll probably go on the freaking date because I feel bad for turning you down. So don't do that. Okay? Like, read the person. Yeah. But also, for me personally, I don't have an issue with a girl asking a guy on a date. I do think we need to learn how to be clear. It's not something we've done for years. Yeah. So we don't really know. We need to make sure they know it's a date, because guys, I've learned, I love you, but I've learned you don't always know. No. You can't always read body language or know, you know, so in your mind it's friends. But I will say, in my personal experience, I always initiated like hanging out with you as a friend, but I let you lead on the dates. Yeah. Like, when you would ask me, like, we were kind of dating, hanging out for a couple months leading up to when we officially started dating. Yeah. But like, if it felt more like a date, it was because you asked me. You know what I mean?
Also, we need to normalize dating before you're even boyfriend, girlfriend. Like, it's okay to date and then figure out that if you want to like continue it on. Yes. Like,
you're not automatically boyfriend, girlfriend after your first date. We dated as in went on dates for like 2 months before we actually
figure out if you actually like being with the person before getting into a relationship, and then being like, after 2 dates, oh,
Yeah.
Now we're going to have to break up.
And guys, if you like the girl and if you want to date them, pursue them.
Yes.
Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Yes.
Bryce pursued me, and so I knew he was interested.
If you are on a first date, even as friends, and you are at all interested, pick up the check. Like,
and
if she doesn't want you to pay, that's cool too. But just like make the gestures.
And some people might consider this old fashioned, but I think it just is date etiquette personally.
Yeah.
Because for example, I knew things were changing in our friendship for a few things. You've got to give signs to show, hey, this is more than just friends hanging out. We like each other and we're,
Yeah.
And so a few things. Well, first, you paid for me. Second, you started, before when we were friends, and if you would pick me up, a lot of times we would just meet somewhere. But if you would pick me up, you'd just sit in the car and wait for me to come to you.
Yeah.
But then you started coming to the door, and then you start opening my car door, and those are things that are saying, hey, this is date-like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyways, we really just went on a
So that's our segment
rampage there. Please let us know your date stories, and maybe we'll share them on the podcast.
Maybe we should transition this podcast into a dating podcast or a fitness podcast, or let
a relationship podcast. We should do a relationship Q&A, and the people who have been married for less than a year can give you all the advice.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what the people want to hear.
We're obviously so experienced. Anyways,
I have a blank look on my face, but what's really happening in my brain is I'm trying to come up with catchy names for a podcast.
Well, I'm going to redirect us here, if that's okay. So this actually kind of transitions into
our fan favorite section. We took a poll. You guys voted. Everybody voted.
What's it called?
Lights.
Camaryn.
Action.
I don't like how I have to say my own name.
Okay, let's start again.
Lights.
Camaryn.
Action.
The fan
I
voted.
just like when you say it.
Yes.
Anyways.
The fan favorite voted.
So yes, we have a movie review today.
We do.
And it fits because it's a rom-com and it's about two people. It's kind of a rom-com.
It did. The question fit perfect.
Oh, I thought you were questioning.
No, it was the wheels were turning.
Yeah, it fits perfectly because it's a rom-com about two people trying to figure out their relationship. So it actually fits quite perfectly. So we are, if you don't know already, well, you probably do because Bryce probably put it in the title, we are reviewing The Fall Guy. If you haven't heard about it, that's understandable because I feel like they didn't promote it very well.
Not really.
Hopefully you have heard about it. If you haven't seen it, this is a movie you have to see. It is the movie of the summer. I'm putting it out there right now.
I would say that it is, to me, it's the movie of the summer. It's the Barbie of this year.
Please go see it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Mm-hmm. I think it's one of those movies that you go with the date.
It's a great date movie.
So if you're thinking about asking somebody out or just wanting to hang out and see if you guys are compatible, maybe go see The Fall Guy. Go to dinner, go see the movie, or go see the movie and get ice cream afterward. I mean, just a thought.
Yeah.
Just gave someone a really good idea.
It's a 3-course date right there. Dinner, movie, dessert.
Well, I wasn't saying all three.
Oh, no.
That's kind of a lot.
Oh, no, you do all
What
three.
if they're they need an out? You know what I mean? We got to give them an out.
Well, you can have an out.
Be like, man, that popcorn really messed with my stomach. I should go home.
So some quick fast facts about The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy is loosely based off of a TV show that came out in the 80s. About a stunt guy. It is directed by David Leitch, who was a professional stunt actor.
Cool.
He was Brad Pitt's stunt actor for the longest time. Transitioned out of stunt work to being a director. He's directed many films before this one, but this is his love letter to Hollywood and the stunt community.
Yes.
It stars handsome Ryan Gosling. Just stunning Ryan Gosling.
Buff Ryan Gosling.
He's looking real good. Real good. Emily Blunt also looking real good. Everybody also Aaron Taylor Johnson, looking real good. Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso. Those are the main stars. Oh, Winston Duke from Black Panther, Get Out, all those movies. Us. I don't know if he was actually in Get Out. I don't think he was in Get Out. But he was definitely in Us. Anyway, great actor. Winston Duke is an underrated actor in Hollywood. Love him.
He was great in this movie.
He does
comedic relief.
He does comedy really, really well.
And his chemistry with Ryan. Ryan, can I call you Ryan?
Mr. Gosling.
Mr. Gosling was really great.
Yes. It did not make much money at the box office.
Which is why you should go see it, people.
Yeah, the budget was $130 million. That's not counting marketing. Marketing is usually another $100 million, usually. But the opening weekend for US and Canada was $27 million. Not very good. Oh well, maybe it'll pick up. I think it'll pick up.
Okay, so let me give a brief summary about what this movie was about.
Yeah.
I'm not reading this, so I'm just
off the top
of my head. So, in this movie, Ryan Gosling's character is a stuntman, a great
the best stuntman.
And there's his love interest, or he is her love interest, whatever you want to say.
They're both in like with each other.
Is Emily Blunt's character, who starts out as a camera operator and becomes a director. They lose contact. He comes back into her life. She's kind of mad at him, but she's still in love with him. And so they have to work through all of that. In this movie, it is a rom-com.
Yes.
It is an action movie.
Yes.
There's a little bit of a murder mystery in there. It is basically everything you want in a movie wrapped up into one movie, but done really, really well.
Really well.
Because that could go really bad.
Yes.
But it was really good. So if you haven't noticed already, we have high reviews of this movie. So give me out of 5, what's your rating?
Out of 5. I think it's hard for me. So I think at the end of the day, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I want to give it a 4.5 out of 5. I think but the movies then that are in the 4.5 out of 5 category, I don't feel like match up completely with The Fall Guy.
Yeah.
Quality wise, not that this is a low quality movie, but it's just not on the same level.
It's not an Interstellar.
No, it's like a fun movie that you can go in, have a great time.
So Bryce is biased and pretentious.
I am. So I want to give it a 4.5 out of 5,
right.
But I'm gonna end up I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Okay. Well, out of the theater, I gave it a 4.9 out of 5.
That's great.
But I guess since we only go by 0.5s, we say that, but then we always say what our actual rating would be. Anyways, I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 because I don't think it's a perfect 5 out of 5.
No.
Although for me, it was a perfect 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
You know, objectively speaking, it probably wasn't, but
it could have
really
been a tad
enjoyed
shorter. Some of the effects they didn't need to add because it was perfect as is.
I told Bryce that when we were leaving the theater that this is a movie that I would recommend to like anybody.
Yeah.
It's not a movie where it's like, some people might not like it. Like it's a movie where it's like, oh my gosh, have you seen The Fall Guy?
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta see it. Or like I would totally be like to my parents or my sisters or whoever, like, oh, let's watch it together because it's just a good movie.
It's kind of the type of movie that you can take your older kids to.
Yeah.
You can take teens to. It can be a parent's date out. It can be a young couple's date out. It could be a grandparent's date out. Like it covers the whole plethora
for anybody.
Yeah.
So, what were some of your initial thoughts about the movie?
I walked out beaming. I was so stoked by this movie because not gonna lie, I had some lower expectations for it. Not based on anything other than the trailers weren't the greatest, I guess. They didn't pick the best parts of the trailers.
Again, we say we cannot just base what movies we see off of trailers anymore.
No.
They've been consistently bad.
Yeah. So I walked out, and it's kind of a meta commentary on Hollywood. Like, there's a lot of Hollywoodisms in this movie, and I love that. There's a lot of inside baseball terms of like filmmakers in the film community that I just really adored. I didn't realize I loved Ryan Gosling as much as I do. I really liked him in Barbie, of course, but who doesn't love Ken? But this new era of Ryan Gosling, which we talked about after the movie, of he's now like a very self-aware Ryan Gosling, where he's kind of arrogant, but it's a lovable arrogant. He knows his power.
Like, he's not actually arrogant.
No.
But he kind of plays a character. Like, he plays it up. He's confident, but he plays it up as arrogance.
Yes.
But then he also self-deprecates.
He's
it's so funny.
Lovable.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's hard to not like Ryan Gosling. Emily Blunt she's made some weird decisions in the past couple movies, Oppenheimer excluded, but like, this is her. She's doing great work here.
Yeah. She's also super lovable. Like, I've been watching some interviews with her, and I always love watching interviews. Like, she's so funny, just naturally. She's not like a comedian funny. She's like, she just says things, and it just makes you laugh.
Yeah. So John Krasinski, how about you and your wife make a movie together?
That'd be cool.
Other than The Quiet Place, that was a great movie, perfect movie. But make another one.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Other things I liked all the stunt work. I thought it was awesome. It didn't feel gimmicky. It didn't feel like trickery. It felt real. Mm-hmm. And then I watched some behind the scenes videos, and like, they did the stunts. Mm-hmm. They did everything in the movie that they set out to do. And not to spoil the end of the movie, but there's some fun little cameos that pop up, and I just really loved it. It was great. How about you?
Yeah, I really loved it too. Mm-hmm. I've also like after Barbie, because of Barbie, like, Ryan Gosling's like, where the era he's in right now is just great. Like, he's just so funny, and I like his comedy. Like, that's like the comedy that I think's hilarious. There were multiple times in this movie where I was like cracking up. Like, I don't usually, if there's jokes in movies and we're in a theater, or like if it's a sad scene in a theater, like, for some reason I don't always express, but I was like, there was one time where I didn't know if I was going to be able to get my laughter under control, which I know is like kind of high standard. I'm setting up really high standards for it, but for me, it was funny. Like you said, it's just really cool to see, because this is a movie about making a movie. Yeah. Which could kind of be cheesy, but it wasn't. It was really well done. So it was really cool to see like the process of the behind the scenes of making a movie type of thing. And I feel like we're getting into a point where there might be spoilers. So if you just want to go see it, there's nothing like jaw dropping that happens, but
all the Avengers don't die. Like,
so this movie is like a sci-fi movie that Emily Blunt is the director of. Yeah. And it's so self-aware, it's hilarious. It's
Dune meets Mad Max meets Star Wars meets
Guardians of the Galaxy even. Like, it is so funny, because it's like, you've got some of these like people are dressed up in like the alien costumes or whatever that look like they're from Star Wars. You've got some people like the like weapons that they're using, it looks like it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Yep. And then they play music whenever they're like filming the movie that sounds like Dune, and I thought it was hilarious.
That's one of those moments you die.
I like couldn't, because they did it throughout the movie, and I was like, this is so funny.
It's hilarious. It's
just so funny to me. I don't know why, I just think it's hilarious, but I really liked that aspect. Like, there was like comedy for everyone, and then comedy for the movie nerds.
It's like the comedy for the people that like know.
Yeah, and I really liked that part. I thought all of the acting was great. Yeah. Like, everybody's roles they really just
knocked them out of the park.
Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling's chemistry was great.
Yes.
And the thing that I loved about their chemistry is it wasn't, sometimes in rom-coms you want, not always in rom-coms, but I guess in romance movies, you want like them to have like kind of like sexual tension.
Yeah.
There's not sexual tension between them, but it's like they just play off of each other. Their acting plays off of each other really well. And it's like there's this friendship and this affection for each other that is, I feel like, probably reflects in real life as well. But like you really see in this movie, and just there's so many times that looking back on it, I wonder how much of it was just improv, like just them running with ideas because they're both hilarious and they, I don't know, bounced off of each other really well. And so I think that that's really cool. Like you don't necessarily pick that up while you're watching the movie, but when you like, you pick it up, but you don't realize it. Yeah. And then when you think back at it and you're thinking, oh, these are actors playing these characters, you're like, wow, they have to be really talented to have that back and forth like comedy. Yeah. Which I thought was stellar. Yeah. Yes. And I will say, like, we were pretty over complimentary of challengers. Yeah. But I feel like we accurately are complimenting this movie. Yes. At least for me personally.
So I rated them the same. Yeah. Both 4 out of 4. They're just 4 out of 5. They're just different. Yeah. And they can't be compared really. Yes, and I feel like we were very complimentary of the acting in Zendaya and Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor, but as a film as a whole, people might disagree on the internet because of course they do. Like Challengers is a great movie in of itself, but The Fall Guy is it's great. This is what I want in a summer blockbuster movie. It's like perfect summer movie.
Do you remember how maybe a few episodes ago, how we talked about what movies will stand the test of time? Yeah. And because you're having all of these huge films with all of this CGI and all of this stuff, but what story's gonna, like, in 30, 40, 50 years, we're gonna look back and like want to watch that or want to show it to our kids? I feel like The Fall Guy could be that. Yeah. Because it's such a good, it's just a well-rounded film. It's not for a specific audience. It's not a specific style. Like, it's just, it gives everybody a little bit of something. Yeah. And I feel like that's gonna, if people go and see it now, that could, and maybe it'll be something like, what's the movie we reviewed? The one that wasn't popular, but then now is popular.
The Shawshank Redemption?
Yes. Maybe it'll be something that grows in popularity as time goes on, as it is available on streaming, which is sad. But true. Like, and they opened the opening little scene.
Yes. I want to start a petition. They used to do this a lot, where the director and like the main actor or the cast would come on before the movie, and they'd say something like, "Hey, all, thanks for coming out to the movie. We had so much fun making this movie. I hope you enjoy it. So here's The Fall Guy." Yeah. Like, just something simple, just thanking.
Introduce the movie.
Yeah, because the theater is a dying art, and it's just nice to have that connection with. I know, like, whenever they do that, I feel like they're talking right at me. I know they're not. They're not. But it's like, the movies are something so close and so meaningful to me that it just makes that connection even stronger. And would I have loved The Fall Guy just as much if they hadn't done that? Yeah, probably. But that set me up. Yes. It got me ready.
It got everybody settled into,
it prepared my heart for The Fall Guy.
Yeah. And like the director had said in that clip, he was like, this is the best place to watch this movie. Yeah. Like, you're not going to get a better place than the theater. So no, I think that was really cool.
Which we'll kind of talk about next week on our next episode. Like, there was a just for streaming movie that we watched, and would it have been better in the theater? I don't know. Think on that for next week. But some of these movies that go straight to Netflix or straight to Hulu or straight to Prime are would they have been better in the theater?
But, and this will be a conversation for next week too, but like on social media, more people are talking about that movie than they're talking about The Fall Guy.
Which it blows my mind.
Because the problem isn't, you know, what a movie looks like on the big screen or whatever. Yeah. It's getting people to the theater. People don't want to go to the movie theaters. Like, if you ask people, when's the last time you've gone to the movie theater? I feel like there's a lot of people that would be like, oh, it has been like before COVID.
Yes.
If not longer. Like, and like that was even me before we started dating. It was like, I hadn't gone since before COVID. And it's like, but
the majority of people go like once a year, maybe.
They go for Marvel.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not everybody has time to just go to the movies once a week like we do. And there will be a time in our life where we probably don't always have that time.
Yeah.
But
sad.
there's not always like, if there's a movie you want to see and you're saying, I'll just wait till it comes out on streaming, don't do that. Go to the theater because you're going to enjoy it 10 times more. And these people work so hard.
Yeah.
They work so hard on these movies. And I know you can just be like, well, they're just celebrities and they live in their own. They're working to entertain you.
That's their full-time
You get to
job.
comment on them because they work the way that they do. And they're, you know, we've talked about it a little bit, but a lot of like there's big name actors, but other actors aren't getting paid as much as we think they are. They don't have the health insurance that we think they do and stuff like that. Yeah. And so this is an art form. I mean, people used to go to like see live productions and that has kind of almost died off, which is sad too. But it's like, don't let that happen to the movies.
Exactly.
Like, I wish we could go on a Friday night and the movie theater be more filled, you know?
I have memories of going to the movies back when I was like 14, 15, and this was before reserved seating. So, what a dark age. So you'd have to get to the theater at least an hour and a half to 2 hours before the time that you wanted to see. Yeah. And you'd wait in this long line to get a ticket, to maybe not even get a seat next to your friend because they only had one seat, and it was unfortunate you were in the third row at the far left side. Like, but you waited, like it was, people came out to these things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Barbie and Oppenheimer that really that was like the first, those
people
were the
back,
movies that brought people back after COVID.
Yeah. But like, even again, we're reviewing this movie next week, but we watched a movie that was only on streaming, and like I noticed, and maybe that was just because of the quality of the film, I don't know. Like I was responding to text messages, I was opening Instagram every once in a while. One of the things that I love about the movie and going to the movies, even though you are in front of a big screen, like it's not like you're taking a break from a screen, but you're disconnecting from the like toxic world of social media. You're disconnecting from having to like communicate with people, and you get to be immersed into a new world, whether it's like a Dune world or whether it's just like a fun rom-com. Like you're fully getting immersed into that world, and that's your focus. Like there's not ever a time when I'm at the movies that I want to grab my phone.
No,
never.
You're in it and it grabs your attention, and you just get a break from like reality for a while. And maybe if more people went to the movies, they'd actually realize like that's a fun experience. Exactly.
And I just feel like it makes me sad that this movie, which I think is great, made as little as it did in the movie theater. And I don't think it has anything to do with the quality of the movie. I think it has to do with people not going to the movies. So if people aren't going to go, they're not also going to spend money on promoting it outside of the movie theaters. Like we didn't see anything other than their little Oscar skit that was outside of.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling hosted SNL, I think.
Yeah,
and Emily Blunt was on it. But like,
that's true.
Here's also the problem. People 30 and up will watch SNL. and get all of that marketing. But nobody under 30 is watching SNL on a regular basis. They're not watching the Oscars. And here's the thing that, like, anyone but you, the Sydney Sweeney movie, made so much money because she started this TikTok campaign and everybody went to the theater. But, like, this movie, probably better. But it's better than anyone but you.
Yeah, but we haven't watched that one,
No.
so we can't say anything.
But it's not getting that because it's just not getting the TikTok campaigns, and it's not that type of movie. Interesting enough, we'll talk about this more next week. I wrote down some statistics based on our watching of the movie that we did. The first time one of us checked our phones was 13 minutes in.
Oh, you were...
Oh, yeah. Because I had thought about this before. A streaming-only movie versus a theater movie. In the movie theater, we're never checking our phones. We're never checking anything. I wanted to see what some statistics. Like 13 minutes in, first phone check. 17 minutes in, first pause. 37 minutes in, first bathroom break. Like, there's just so many stops that you're not watching a movie the whole way through like you would.
But I made you pause the movie a lot because I had lots of comments that I couldn't hold
which
in.
is fine. And I more than wanted to share my opinions on the film that we were watching, if you can call it that. But
that's mean.
No, it actually...
Don't go that far.
No, it looked beautiful. It looked really good.
I think we should tell them what we're reviewing.
We watched...
The Idea of You review will be coming next week, so stay tuned, watch it, and then let us know, and we'll let you know. We'll have lots of thoughts.
The cinematography was really good.
We might have to watch it
again
just so I have a fresh
you can watch
thoughts.
Again.
That's okay. Anyways,
watch it on like 2 times speed.
But your point is you don't get that distraction when you're in the movie theater. Well, if anybody remembers from a couple weeks ago, we challenged everyone to a creative challenge. I have another challenge for everyone.
What's the challenge? Here's
what we want you to do. Get a group of people together. Mm-hmm. And by a group of people, I mean you by yourself or 10 people. I don't care. Like, if you don't have a group of friends, that's okay. Go yourself or just with your best friend or your husband or your wife or whoever, or your sister. And go to the movies. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what movie you see, whatever movie sparks interest. Go to the movies, take a picture, post it on social media, tell everybody to go to the movies, tag us in it, we'll repost it, and let's start. We need to do it. We need to do this too.
We should.
I know that there's some people listening that do go to the movies just as much as we do. I know I can name these people. We got to start working together here to get more people to the movies.
Yeah.
So we feel like this is a good movie to go see, so please go see it. But yeah, I think that this movie, I mean, I don't really know if there's much. Do you have any critiques? We gotta say some critiques. I have a critique.
Slightly long. Could have taken out.
I didn't think it felt long.
It felt like maybe 10 minutes too long. You can just take out some of the middle part, which is my other critique. There's this chase scene in the middle, and they actually did the chase scene, but then they added in special effects.
And it didn't
just
look
don't
good.
Put in the special effects. It looked great because they played the behind the scenes footage in the credit roll, and it looked great.
Yeah, that was weird because we were like, oh, well, it looks like they did it, but it did not look good.
It was bad because some of the stunts that they did in the movie, I was like, oh, that was all visual effects. And then they showed it in the credits, and it wasn't. And I was like, it looks better in the credits scene than it did in the movie because they didn't add in all the special effects.
Yeah, it kind of looks like he was floating off the ground.
Yeah.
When he was legitimately on the ground.
But whenever you watch it without the visual effects, you see that he is kind of floating off the ground because of the speed they are going at.
Okay.
But the way that they added in the visual effect,
they added sparks.
Yeah, so because he was gliding and it was like kind of like hitting like this.
Right.
So it did. Well, I guess they can't see, but like, whenever you're going fast and it's kind of gliding on top of the ground.
Right. So it's coming up and down.
Yes. So that's why they added sparks to make it look like it was hitting.
Yeah.
But it didn't look good.
No. There was that, and then there was a CGI of a helicopter, I think, that looked like it was from like the Civil War movie, and I was like,
Yeah.
So there was those parts. Most of everything they did was like not CGI'd though.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But yeah. There was just a few things, but the actual storyline and the writing, I wouldn't change.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are our only really critiques. So go see the movie.
Go see it, please.
I think that's all for this podcast.
Think so.
Bryce is getting sleepy.
I am.
It's getting late. And I want some dessert. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Stay tuned for next week's review. I think it'll be interesting. And this is something where, guess what? You don't have to go to the movies to watch the movie that we're going to review. So you should watch it, but you should also just go to the movies.
Do you get free shipping from Amazon? Well, go check your Amazon Prime Video because you got it for free. Anyway.
Yeah, people will pay like $30 to like see a movie on their crappy TV screen, but they won't pay to go. Anyways. Thanks for listening. Give us a like, give us a review.
Yep. All the things.
Follow us at the Everyday Creative Pod.
You won't, but
you won't. We also don't really post, which we should get better at that. But if you tag us when you go to the movies, we'll post that.
It, yeah.
So do that. Okay, we'll see you next week.
Stay creative, folks.
I just did a finger gun.